Hey, everybody, this is Everyman with Everyman's 40K channel, and this is part 2 of the Tau Devilfish, where we're going to go ahead and get into a lot of detail. So the first thing you're going to see me do here is we're going to start with an eye. So we're going to go ahead and basically do a lens. So we're going to start right into this immediately. Just showing details, and we're going to cover a lot of ground real quick. We're going to try to keep this short. I don't want to extend this one to another hour. Keep this around 30 minutes if we can. So basically what I'm doing is lenses, just for a little description here. Lenses typically on 40K models come in two parts. Half is what we would call the dark area or darker area, right? And the other half is the light area, or the where the light or shine is kind of coming from. So on a round lens, you typically want to split the lens into those two areas, a light side and a dark side, and then just a little blending. And when I try to blend, you don't cut the lens exactly in half. You kind of do like a crescent moon shape for the light side, and then blend in to the dark side. Then typically your light color, which I'm getting out here, titanium white, that is probably your whitest white of all your colors. So for flares and lenses, things like that, shines on lenses, I typically go to a titanium white and not like a off-white or something that's got a little color in it, you know what I mean? You want a pure white. So this little thing here, that's my little magnifying glass. Every artist or every painter should have one of these, if not a pair of goggles. You've heard other YouTube guys tell you like one of their most important tools is a little headset that they wear that's got the magnifying glass on it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, fast forward this, and we're going to come back to where the lens is almost done. Okay, so I told you this is going to be quick. We're going to hammer through these. So next up is what we're going to do is we're going to create the shadow or the kind of wear and tear that would be caused from having chains, basically, on a surface, a painted surface or a vehicle just kind of rattling around. So we're going to deepen the area behind that. Oh yeah, another thing too, as you can see here, we've established our weapons color, I guess you would want to call it, on our burst cannons. And I really like that red. Again, just highlights what they are under there. Just taking a look around the model, just kind of getting a game plan for today. This is probably what I'm doing is starting a new session, so I'm just getting a feel for where I'm at. Again, pointing out what we've done. We've got to color those little front tabs on those antennas. We haven't picked a color for that yet. We've painted some silver. We've got to paint those lights in the back. just pointing out a whole bunch of things that aren't done yet. I mean, I've been working on this for probably 2 weeks now, maybe 3. Again, you've heard me complain that I'm such a slow painter, so this stuff takes me a long time to do. It probably takes me as long to do one model getting ready for competition than some folks hold display boards. I mean, it's crazy. So how slow I work. So we're getting out a little bit of the khaki, and we're going to go and start dry brushing. This is probably the second time on this whole model that you've seen me go to dry brushing, and all I'm doing is bringing out the cheeks and like the forehead, the top of the nose. And this is just a light dusting. You can tell how light I'm using the brush just by the way my fingertips are on the brush and the hand, right? I'm not gorilla gripping the brush, so very light work here. Yeah, sorry about the focus using a cell phone. I don't have a second monitor. So one of the things I'd like to do for next year is I'd like to figure out how to get my cell phone to cast or to show up on a second monitor so I can see kind of what's going on over to my right hand side, you know, so this kind of stuff doesn't happen. So we're going to work on that next year. All right, so we're going to pick this up a little bit. You guys get the point. Real light dry brushing with the khaki just to bring out his skin tone. Also, we go in with a little bit of red, and let me see if I can show you that. Let me cut this and we'll go to that part. All right, so here we are. And you can see on my wet palette, I just have a little dot of a crimson, a little bit different than that orange color that's on the upper right of the palette. This is more of a bruised, little bit deeper rose color, a lot less orange. And again, you can see me going in here. Now I'm starting to kind of bruise and basically bloody this guy up. Put a little bit of red in the cheeks, across the forehead, and then especially around the ears and the temples, because those are kind of, again, deeper spots. A little bit in the eye area, not so much. Just trying to bring out that kind of pussy, bruised, bloated kind of look. This head is a Nurgle head from a Nurgle champion. It is metal, and that champion is like, it was a sorcerer. So old, that miniature, that head of that miniature right there. I've hung on to that for many years. It's got to be from the 90s, like early 2000s. Champion of Nurgle or Nurgle sorcerer. He had a staff too, so if you guys can find that miniature. But anyway, so you see me bruising him up. And again, we continue with this. I'm going to speed this up. We continue with this until I get it right. And then I even bring in some oil, okay? Some of the brown and black mixed oil that I typically use, and I'll show you. Hold on. So here you'll see me bring in my little oil cup, and I go right to it. And again, just in the eyes, around the ears, what I'm kind of doing is I'm mixing the red with the black and kind of brown oil mixture, just really kind of getting that dirty, kind of aged, bruised look. And then after that, I think I go back to dry brushing again, just so light, or a little, not necessarily dry brushing, but then you go back in with the fine tip brush and you smooth out the dry brushing by actually going in, detailing it out. So, and what I mean by is you take your lighter colors and then you hit the forehead and the cheeks and the chin and the top of the nose and things like that, basically with your highlights, and you go ahead and make that face pop once you get it all bruised up and, kind of bloody looking. Okay, that's enough of this. Let's go ahead and see what we got next. Okay, so here, now what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and after we get done, playing around with that Nurgle head there. So now you're going to see me put some kind of darkness or some dirt into the skulls. So basically this is oil. So I went back into my oil wash and I'm going to do the skulls and the chains. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to do a little time lapse here. So again, this is important. Remember what I said in the last video. Brown is dirty, black is oily, right? And I can't emphasize that enough. When you're painting, again, this is just my thing, okay? I mean, other people may have their opinions on YouTube, but again, I tend to stay away from just blacks when I'm doing washes to try to age things, especially when you're working with vehicles. You want dust and dirt and grime and sand and mud and those type of things. You actually want them to read on the model as dirt and not as something that has been combined with, an oil or an engine exhaust or whatever. So again, to me, it's just important to kind of separate the two colors, the dirts from the oils and the grime, right? The griminess. That's why, grimdark, when they talk about grimdark miniatures and just the darkness of them, you kind of get into the griminess and the oily and the rags and everything just kind of hanging on people down, So anyway, that's just me talking. But here we go. Okay, so from here, we're going to get into a little area on the side of the vehicle, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm only doing this because I want you, everybody watching this, again, if you've hung out this long, I want you to see what oils can do. Okay, and I'm learning oils or enamels, like some people call them enamels, oils, washes. The Grim Dark Compendium, he has a new product line that kind of helps to do this. But just the way the oils kind of adhere, they bond, you can kind of move them around. With the acrylics, they kind of don't work that way, right? Acrylics, unless you keep throwing in a lot of water and keeping things wet, your work time is just not there. But you watch, you can see how I didn't like how thick it was, and now I can actually take some out and see how I can move it around. I can start blending already. I can start fading out, and then you'll see me move it up and around right there. It's like kind of take it up and around that area on that little, looks like you'd put a screwdriver in there, right? Whatever you want to call that, just the detail of that model. All right, so here's the part that you guys have probably been waiting for. This is the where we're going to do the scratches or the heavy weathering, I guess you would say. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself a cup of water. And if you guys remember, very early in the process, we did some chipping medium, or we used the hairspray method. So now what we're going to do is on the right side here of your screen, or where you see me working, we're just going to re-wet all that material or all that paint that we've laid down over the last, couple days or weeks, or, whatever, just basically all the paint. we use the chipping medium because it is working as a barrier now, so that this doesn't go all the way down to the primer. Remember, we use brazen brass, and we at this stage we don't want to pick up the brazen brass in the wetting period here, this part here where I'm wetting the material. So the hairspray helps to define, or to kind of just give a barrier between those two sections. And you can see here, see how just wetting it, I'm already breaking through that surface of all those colors and everything we've been doing. And basically that brush is kind of a more aggressive brush, kind of a stiffer bristle, almost like a toothbrush kind of bristle. You can even use a toothbrush here. Some people actually do use toothbrush to, like, you know, cut down into the paint quicker. And all we're doing is we're trying to break the surface. See, now watch. Now that the surface has got softer, I'm going in here. Some people use a pick tool. Basically, it's a little tool that they use. It's just a wire with a very sharp tip, right? You just kind of take a piece of wire, bend it at a 90 degree, or you can leave it straight. But I went ahead and got my X-Acto blade out. And you just break the surface. See there, as you can see me, and I'm scrubbing pretty aggressively. You don't want to be too hard, because you don't want the whole paint surface just to strip off, because then you're really in trouble. So you do have to kind of, you know, take your time. And again, you can see, I mean, this is not time lapse. Just over and over and over, and scraping and scraping and scraping. Okay, so here in about a few seconds, I'm going to get ready to introduce a tool, or I'm getting ready to make a tool. This is just a coffee stir stick, and I'm going to break it, and then I'm going to get my X-Acto blade. And basically what I do is, on one end, I kind of turn it into what would be sort of a saw, right, for lack of a better term, sort of like a saw-toothed surface. So what I'm doing is, I'm just kind of making it gnarly, kind of breaking it up, getting like a little bit of a scratchy surface going, or a little bit of a tool to kind of scratch up the surface. Then what I do is I apply some thin super glue, or thin CA, and then I kick it off, right, with a zap kicker, which sets it up and kind of hardens that surface, right? So you can see there, see how it's just kind of this little scratchy toothbrush saw looking surface. Now what I'm doing is I'm applying the CA and just making me a tool. And then you'll see me go into the model or the product and actually start using the tool as a little bit more aggressive than the paintbrush, right? Again, I'm just looking for something that's a little bit more stiff or hard to scratch that top surface. Anyway, you get the point. Check it out. Now this, what I'm doing is basically this is just a normal dry brush. There's no water or any type of liquid on the brush. It's just dry. So basically I'm just sweeping the area, getting the little particles and stuff here. This is just a natural brush coming in here, sweeping the particles, kind of getting all the little loose chips and stuff off. See, check that out. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to take that scratch that's kind of running down the side, and you're going to see me here. I'm going to go pick that scratch, right? I'm going to go pick it so it comes down and into the aircraft, into the nose a little bit. So I'm taking that long scratch that's down the side, see, and then I'm bringing it right up kind of to the front. This whole process is it's just a process. I can't explain it. It takes time. You got to be, in order to get an aircraft or a vehicle to look like this, or any model really, you just got to put the time in. That's all this is. It's just time. You got to have the vision, and then just take the time to go do it. So we're going to go back to some time lapse. We're going to speed this up again a little bit. And when we get closer to the wrap-up stage, one part I want to talk to you about real quick is as we get to the end, you'll see that on the nose area, or that little winglet, that the acrylic is loose, okay? It's like a flap of skin that's kind of just loose, all right? The more you go digging at it, you're going to loosen the material up, and it's going to just want to peel off. It's in a big sheet, okay? Because it has separated from the hairspray, and the more that you keep messing with it, the more it's just going to want to sheet off in like a big chunk or a big sheet. You always have to weigh the risk of it doing that, and always have that in the back of your mind. You do not want this just to sheet off and pull a big old piece right off, okay? Now, the way you get this to seal back up and to bind back to the aircraft, right, so that your paint just isn't all jacked up, lack of a better term, you'll see me also get a little drop or some drops of Elmer's glue that are wet, like PVA that's been reduced. I put that all over the model, all over that area, and that's our binding agent, or our glue, that's going to hold everything back down, because that PVA on that water solution leaks under the acrylic, and it glues it back together. It basically is like a clear coat, or it hardens. Everything is one piece again, and you'll see. Okay, so here we go. Here's the PVA kind of reduced. Basically water and wood glue mix. I wanted to speed everything up, so I deleted a good chunk of me scratching at this thing. So again, I gotta speed this up, or we're gonna be here another hour. But the surface is ready on that side, and now just get yourself a junk brush, and I'm going to reseal everything that we've just worked on. All that water we've applied, all that scratching that we've done, we're going to basically put a seal coat on this thing. Sorry for the bad camera angle, or basically being outside the zone, so to speak. You'll see it. I'll bring it in here. There you go. See all that glue? Basically, I'm working that into that damage that we've done. We've got to get that acrylic paint to seal back up and to bind to that surface, so it just doesn't come off. Also, when you flat it or clear coat it, it'll also help. So there you go. You get the point. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next section. Now it's time to deal with the center section. So we can't have both left and right winglets damaged without having run the damage along that centerpiece, right? So but we're going to take a little bit different approach to this, and you'll see what we're going to do is this. We're going to not so much deep scratches where it's been hit and really damaged. This one we're going to take a little bit different approach where this is kind of wind worn. So imagine a super old truck out on the sand dunes or something that's just constantly kind of going through what would be brush or four-wheel driving or sand dunes, and just year over year over year, that surface has just kind of been worn down by sand and leaves and a little bit of gravel and stuff. So not heavy scratches, okay? So you guys will get the point here. Basically like in a sandstorm out in the desert look. And I'm just going to go ahead and be quiet now and watch how I work. And just, this is a lot more scrubbing to get down to the surface, but you'll see the result. Okay, so right here, I put the model down and I run into the bathroom to go get me some Q-tips, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to clean up now, okay? Because I couldn't use the brushes and the tools that I had to get that paint off. See all that kind of foggy, loose paint? We scrubbed the, oh, almost said a bad word there. Gotta keep this family friendly. So we scrubbed the heck out of this. See, now look when I clean it. Look at that Q-tip kind of sweeping that area with a little bit of water on the Q-tip, cleaning all that kind of foggy, hazy, right? You can tell. Look at that, cleaning it up nice. Get all that junk out of there. So here in a second, I'm going to go back to the X-Acto blade, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pick at the front a little bit more. Most folks at this stage would kind of do this with the sponge, right? As you've seen, I have yet to get out the sponge and the tweezers and do kind of the sponge technique where, you know, basically you put it in the sponge, dip a little paint, kind of just tap, hit it here and there. I have yet to use a sponge. So, and in fact, this whole project, I don't use a single sponge. Not that I'm sponge averse or like I got some phobia versus sponges. It's just, I mean, I don't need them. It's just, I haven't trained myself. I haven't used them. You know, could I? Yeah, but I do it this way. Here I'm scraping the edges, doing a little reverse edge highlighting. Basically, I'm trying to get the wear and this scraping down right along the edges, because obviously those would be a little bit more war torn and wore down on the angular surfaces than anything else, right? So just doing a little work on the edges. We'll come back and we'll do what we would consider a traditional, what do you call it, weathering or edging, right? It's like the reverse edge highlight. It's basically edge weathering. So So right now, one final cleanup, again, just making sure that, everything's clean before we put lacquer or clear coat this. Again, just have to make sure. And then I'll show you the front, and you can tell the difference, like way different approach to what we've done versus the winglets to what the wear, right? You can see what I meant by like a sandstorm kind of approach, where it's just been constantly wore down by the weathering versus heavy scratches, right? Just two different methods. I think it came out pretty sweet. Now, rolling into the next stage, again, we have to take all that nice work that we've just done, wearing everything down, okay? And I'm showing you here, oil. We're going back to oils, a nice soft brush, and now we got to dirty this up, right? Because all that scrubbing, basically this whole side in the center section, because we've used so much water, so much scrubbing, they're actually pristine or clean, all right? So now we got to go back to dirtying them up, right? So we've done the weathering, we've done the chipping, but now we're going ahead and put the aging, right? So basically what we're doing is, when you consider this technique, other folks in other hobbies would call this antiquing. So if you've got a frame, let's say you're doing a picture frame or cabinets or something in a kitchen, right? You're doing kitchen cabinets, you're doing some metal work, like you got some type of metal, intricate metal thing that you're working with, and then you want to antique it. This is what you're doing. Basically, you go back in, you stain it, and then you come back and you start basically rubbing the stain off. Well, that's all this is doing, is we're just antiquing this surface now. On this section, we're going to talk about the engine decks, or the nacelles, right? A little bit different process on this. We did some scratching, not heavy scratching, but we used the little wooden tool that I made and went ahead and ran it across the edges. See them nice edges, how we busted that, got down to that brazen brass. See right there? And then we went ahead and we went back into it this time with paint. We used some bright gold. The brazen brass basically makes the undersurface, okay, or the closest surface to the metal. It makes it a darker color than what we want to actually use to edge highlight or to highlight, okay? So we went to a bright gold to actually apply a highlight within the brazen brass or within the scratches. Again, my technique, I don't ever want to claim that I'm the first person to do something, right? With all the millions of miniatures that get painted all over the world, I'm sure somebody's done this technique. Most likely the historical guys even do this, but I'm getting ready to show you. We're going to go ahead and get some gold out, right? Bright gold. And then we're going to paint up just a few of these, and then we'll go to the next section. But I just want you to see what this technique or what this does. So you got to remember, we did brazen brass. We did a chip medium, or, you know, something that would separate, allow us to chip, okay? We went ahead, we did the chipping, we did the oil kind of antiquing, we've done everything, okay? So now what we're going to come back in here, and I'm going to actually highlight a scratch, and let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. Again, this is my technique. I don't know if I've developed it or if I'm original, but for my Tau, all my Tau vehicles, all my Tau little men, right? The little troops, the fire warriors, my, what you call it, war suits, everything is going to be chipped this way. And you see how within that chip, or within that scratch, what I'm doing is I'm bringing out just I want more contrast, right? It's just a weird way of kind of getting like to kind of hit you in the face. That's what I like telling. Like when you paint these miniatures and people come up and look at your miniatures, like I love it when I go to a tournament and I look at other people's miniatures and I'm like, oh my God, dude, how did you do that? Right? You're like, you just unbelievable. Like when you look at something, you're like, and it just hits you in the face. Pow, it looks so good, right? And that's what I try to do every time I paint. I'm painting, so like you look at my stuff and it's just like, holy cow, dude. Now here, what I'm telling you is that this is our second style of chipping, right? So we had the one where we chipped, scraping and doing all that stuff we've been doing that you've been watching for the last 30 minutes. Now we're going to go to the more traditional style, this is my special concoction. This is my mix. I put this color together. This is Payne's gray, some greens, a little bit of black, and that's why it's in that old GW bottle, because I kind of created it or made it up. So now look what we're going to do. This is going to be, right, we're going to, along that edge, what I'm pointing out is, look at those clean, nice, crisp, clean edges. We're going to get rid of them, and we're going to start doing what would be considered the standard chipping, or standard style or type of chipping. All right, so now we're going to slow this back down, and I just want you guys to remember what this looked like before we started to do all this. And now we're going to get one last look. Check that out. Next section, we're going to deal with a little bit of freehand, okay? So here we go with the spider, and this spider symbol, or basically the spider symbol in general, just different kind of symbols, are going to be carried out through my army. So they're back banners or any type of symbology that would be, or iconography that would be on this particular Tau unit. They're going to be spiders, but we are going to change, okay? We're different silhouettes of different types of spiders. So wolf spiders, black widows, tarantulas, right? So pretty cool. I mean, I'm just going to go with the spider flow. So what I did is I showed you the pencil. I just sketched the outline of my spider using just regular pencil. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to ink. Everybody, I've told you this before, everybody needs to have some type of black ink or colored inks in their tool set, because they are just so good. And basically, after drawing out our spider silhouette freehand on the aircraft, we're going to come in here with the nice, really fine-tipped brush and just start freehanding. Little cleanup work to do, but actually that's it. I use that detail in the model as a filament. So that little detail model line was basically its spider web. So this will be the last section of this project. You can see the base sitting there with the green tea foliage. Again, that's something I just used first time ever. I developed it for this display board. Just had an epiphany of like, hey, let me try this stuff. So basically what I'm doing is we're giving you a sort of a wrap-up look at it. Now we've got some decals. Again, in case you're wondering, that is not free-handed. Those stripes across the engines, the first two engines, you know, the front or forward-facing engines there. I'm going to come in, right? Those are decals. Okay, so I went ahead and I got a Tau font and made my own decals. And those decals, the orange ones, are also decals. Now, I did paint over the top of the decals, so the decals were orange or orangish. But then in order to make those decals the same color orange as the rest of the aircraft, I went ahead and I went back over the decals. Okay, so again, it's cheating in a way, but they are decals, but they are then hand painted right over the top. So here I'm going over everything. I'm just showing you the model, okay? Showing you the missiles, the seeker missiles. I'm showing you the little drones on the side. And then here comes the Dirty Downs rust. This stuff is amazing. And what we're going to do is to wrap this project up, we're going to Dirty Downs and weather the chains, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to speed this up. No sense getting into tight detail and explanation. It is just a process. Just watch it and you'll see. We're going to do also, again, I was pointing out, sorry, the little engine exhausts. We're going to go ahead and rust those up, okay? This chain is almost done, so we're going to slow it down and let you kind of see the last portion of me kind of working on this chain. We'll bring it in for a close-up here. Like, look at that. This Dirty Down stuff is so good. But look at the staining, look at underneath, and you remember earlier we hit this with oil, right? And we kind of got a little bit of a dark, grimy surface underneath that chain that I'm now playing off of, right? I'm just kind of mixing the oil, mixing the Dirty Downs, kind of hitting it here, hitting it there, kind of also using a little bit of water so that we get the capillary effect or a little diffusion so that Dirty Downs rust kind of diffuses or kind of slowly leaks out across that surface, because that rust isn't going to be right there solid, and it doesn't stay exactly where you put it. As it's raining and as it's weathering, you're going to get these effects, right? So yeah, this Dirty Downs is so good. But check that out. Next up are the engine, the front engine nacelle exhausts. That's the next thing we're going to hit. And then we just move around the aircraft as we go around. That's it. So like you're going to see me hit these here. This is pretty heavy. I put it on pretty thick. Add a little water to kind of break it down so that it flows around those components. But yeah, it's just kind of basic stuff. So we're going to let this run. We're going to play a little music, and then we'll come back into the video and wrap this up because, like I said, this is the last section. I slowed the video down again here because, again, I just think this is looking really good, really cool. But I wanted to show you how I incorporate black ink in combination with 30 downs to get the contrast or the depth that I need. As I'm painting this, or going over this, I'm thinking in my head, it's the underneath below the chain is just not doing what I want it to do. And I go ahead and get my black ink out again. Because there's a lot of water here, all I have to do is dip the tip of the brush into a little drop of black ink and then touch, right? You just got to touch the surface of the model and it diffuses. It just blows out across the surface of the aircraft underneath that chain, and you'll see it. Watch. Now it's time to tackle the front chains. And if you've watched my Chaos Knight Rampager video, we're going to use the same process. Basically, we're going to wet the chains first with water. And then that way all the links kind of get penetrated with the water first, right? It just gets kind of all over the place, allows the dirty downs to rust and to get to the backside where my finger's at. Anyway, we'll let this roll. Go check out the Chaos Knight Rampager video for more kind of chain work and dirty downs, but here you go. All right, everybody. You know what that sound means? That means that we have successfully got through another Everyman's 40K video. We are around the Christmas and holiday seasons, so to all my subscribers, I want to wish you, your family, loved ones, friends, well wishes, and for a safe holiday season. New Year's after Christmas is just around the corner. I'm going to take a break. I've got one more video to post, or actually it's a short. I have one stealth suit complete, so I'm going to post one more short. And then after that, I'm going to close this thing down and I'll pick it back up in January. So I just want to once again, wish everybody, I hope Santa Claus is good to you. And in the first of the new year, Happy New Year, everybody. And we'll be seeing you in January. So hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and hit that like button. And tell all your friends on social media that I am out here. Share and spread the word, people. And like we always say on every episode, may all your dice rolls come up sixes unless you're looking for the one. Peace out, everybody.